Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us this evening for the first Bitcoin Coaches webinar about Bitcoin investing. My name is Tom Mitzoff, one of the Bitcoin coaches, and here with me this evening is my colleague, Brett Combs, who, along with me, is one of the... Yeah, we... hold on for 1 second, please. One of the Bitcoin coaches, and here with me this evening. Sorry, folks. As you can tell, some signs that this is our first one, but let me continue with my introduction to Brett. Brett is someone who's been involved with Bitcoin for many years, almost from its outset in 2009. So Brett has years and years of experience with this cryptocurrency. And he also was the co-author of the Amazon best-selling book, Bitcoin Decoded, which came out in 2013 and was one of the first highly rated books on the subject of Bitcoin. Now, also, we're here with us this evening is Lee Oki. Lee is a distributor with USI-Tech, one of the leading distributors in the company, and he is going to be the person telling us this evening about the opportunity in investing with USI-Tech and Bitcoin. And Lee, you have had years of experience in direct marketing and online and offline marketing. So tell us just a little bit about that before you start your presentation on USI-Tech.
Yeah, good evening, Tom. Thank you very much for asking me to take over to you this evening. It's great to be here. If you do hear any sirens going off in the background, I'm in Northern California, and we're in the middle of this ridiculous fire scenario at the moment. So we have fire trucks running past. So I apologize for that in advance. But it's great to have a break from what's been going on for the last couple of days. Absolutely. I just to give you a little bit of background on myself, I have a substantial team involved. You guys are very much part of that. Work very closely with Brett, and it's great to meet you, Tom. We have around about 2,500 USI members below me. Above me is a business colleague of mine, John Smith, and above him is one of the founder members in USI-Tech, Tak Mano, and above him is Mike Kiefer, who is the corporate ambassador and what part of the corporate team. So you can see where I sit and Brett and you guys sit in relation. So we're very fortunate to have a fantastic relationship with the corporate team. That stands us in good stead with things that we want to do, such as live events and making sure we're getting our team the support that's needed. And my background really is, I guess I've been 15 to 20 years in client acquisition, business development, both on and offline. Online marketing strategies, I would say, is my skill set, and it's something that we've used very readily to help everybody grow their business. And I'll explain a little bit more when we look at some slides, Tom.
Okay, very good. And Lee and Brett is here as well. Everyone who is on the webinar tonight may or may not be aware of the fact that it has been an incredible day for Bitcoin. We are actually, I'm looking at a exchange on my screen. We're over $5,400 per Bitcoin right now on the GDAX exchange, which is associated with Coinbase. Just in this day alone, it's up over $600. So. Lee, I know that you have some thoughts on this, and it's something that we're going to have to get used to.
Yeah, for sure. I think, one thing that people struggle to grasp is the volatility, and we use that word a lot, but Bitcoin is going to remain volatile. That's a great thing. That's not a negative thing. It means that it can be traded. If currencies remain constant, there isn't any movement, be it up or down, it's very difficult for great software and expert traders to trade the markets, whatever that currency may be. But to be at an all-time high today of 5,400 is outstanding. Get used to it, because it's going to continue to move. If you think you're here and you're too late, you're wrong. I can tell you that. We're predicting, figures into 10,000 plus middle of next year, and we could be way out from that. So yeah, it's going in one direction, mainly because of really what is behind it, the blockchain technology, the governments around the world starting to endorse this and roll this out as a legitimized, legalized currency. And so, yes, it doesn't surprise me that we've seen another great jump today, Tom.
Okay. And now we're going to get into the discussion about the investment opportunity. Brett and I have both been involved in some other activities earlier in the year similar to this, where people were giving up opportunities to invest Bitcoin. And unfortunately, in those cases, they didn't work out so well. And there's maybe some folks on the broadcast here who, like us, had some bad experiences. So I want to let everyone know who's watching is that Brett and I have vetted the USI-Tech opportunity very, very closely, very seriously for months. We are convinced that this is the real deal and an opportunity that is what it claims to be, and is a very, very great opportunity for everyone who wants to get involved and learn more. So Lee, I'm going to turn it over to you to explain USI-Tech and the opportunity that's involved for us here.
Okay, Tom, thank you. Well, I'm just going to share my screen and just bring up some slides for you. So just bear with me a second whilst I do that. If you guys can just let me know that you can see my screen okay, that would be great.
Yep, we can see it.
We'll just flick up to that. So obviously to everybody tuned in, welcome. Thank you for finding out a little bit more about what's going on. Just picking up the point that Tom made, we did a massive amount of due diligence initially, to the extent that my business partner, John Smith, and flew to Germany to sit with the owners back in February of this year. The sole reason for that was to ensure that we knew what the mindset, most importantly, was of the individuals concerned. There are 4 individuals which I'll share with you at the moment, but we wanted to get an understanding of where they were going to take the business. How were they going to manage it? We've seen too many companies over the years, especially in this arena, fail for either lack of financial stability, lack of business know-how, lack of compliance. There are umpteen reasons, and we needed to get an understanding of how they were going to manage the growth. And I can tell you we've moved from a few thousand members to nearly 250,000 in 6.5 to 7 months. And that is about to explode on the 28th of October. So I'm going to give you a bit of background to what's going to happen and coming up. Some very exciting news on the 28th of October. But in the meantime, let me just start by reading this disclaimer. The proof of payment that we'll show you here is in no way a guarantee that you'll earn the same, but it will be possible to earn this and more with an equal or greater strategy and work ethic. And any of these figures that we're going to show you are not a guarantee of income. Figures that we're going to show are presented for illustration purposes only. So who are USI? Well, I can tell you that they are a software company, technology company that specialized for many years in developing automated trading software. That can be called robotics, it can be called expert advisors, but that's why I took a look at the company, not for the Bitcoin trading, which we are all heavily involved in and very excited by, but really we'd spent 5 to 6 years trying to assess the markets, looking for successful, intelligent software that would allow us to trade the foreign exchange market. That is basically the currency market that would allow you to predict to a certain extent, depending on the software, currency pairs. So for example, the US dollar against the euro, the Swiss franc against the Japanese yen, and so on. And these guys have been developing software for the last 8 years that has been incredibly successful. And up until October 2016, you would have needed $100,000 just to get involved and to be able to use their software. That would be in your own broker account. So it was out of the remit of most people. However, I mentioned one of the gentlemen, Tak Mano, who is 2 above me in the company. They'd been looking at the software for 18 months prior to October of last year, decided to pool together 4 individuals, 2 of which I know very well, put in $25,000 a piece, bought the software, watch what the software did. And I can tell you, and that's not what we're here to talk about, but I can tell you the reason that we came across USI is that there is not a single account globally that is using that software to trade the Forex market, not Bitcoin, but the Forex market, that is not in profit. That is unheard of. So that's what caught our attention. And obviously, subsequently, as I mentioned, we did our due diligence. So who are the guys behind the scenes? Well, we have João Felipe Fernandez Severino. He's been working, and he's really the brainchild of the software. He's been working over the last 20 years, developing over 100 of these versions of these expert advisors or robots or software, as you want to call it. We have Ralph Gold, who I know very well. Ralph now heads up their programming and the trading element of the company. And as it says, he's managed and traded for numerous VIP clients for the past 3 years, producing results consistently and getting them a great return on investment. Horst Jietscher, he's the business background. Horst has developed, built, and floated publicly, and I'm going to come back to that very shortly, 2 very substantial companies for multi-millions. There is a clear mandate for USI to do exactly the same thing, which I will talk about more, by the end of 2019. So if you're here and you're looking at this and you've been involved in other things that haven't had the legs and you're worried about where this is going, I can tell you there is absolutely no need to be concerned whatsoever. These guys have the financial backing in order to take the business, and we've already seen some of the things that have been produced, and I'm going to share with you some of the things that are coming down the line. And I think when you hear about some of those things, you'll have a whole different view on the opportunity that sits before you. And finally, Mike Kiefer. Mike Kiefer is a great support to me and my team. He's the company ambassador. He travels the world. He's responsible for moving into the new territories that we've seen in the Philippines and Tokyo and China and you name it. USI are expanding around the globe now and remaining compliant as they do so. And we'll touch on that in more detail. Just a little bit about the history of Bitcoin. We've talked about the price today. Here's a slide that Brett shared with me a short while ago. You know, we went back. There was a rumor that was brought out in China that all of the Bitcoin exchanges were about to be shut down. Well, that wasn't the case. They really are looking at a way of just legitimizing and legalizing and having some form of control over the exchanges. But the price plummeted a couple of weeks back from around $4,600 down to around $3,200. And here we are today at an all-time high of 54.18. You need to get used to that. As I said at the beginning, this volatility is great. It will go up and down, but there is a long, long way to go. And we'll talk more about what people predict. One of the slides that we've used a lot of, in case you feel that you've missed the boat, is just to give you an idea of where Bitcoin sits in the market. Currently, it's around $66 billion. And if you think that's a lot of money, well, look at Bill Gates and all of the cryptocurrencies together. It's a very, very small dot, as you see in orange on the screen. Physical money is $31 trillion. And if you take the stock markets in their entirety, $66.8 trillion, Bitcoin is just a tiny fraction of it at the moment. But I can tell you that it is going to expand massively. And there are a number of things that are going to influence that. And we'll talk about more of those as we go down the line. Now, our good old friend Warren Buffett, most of you will be familiar with Warren. Well, he made a statement to say that out of his $49 billion, they hadn't moved any into Bitcoin. And that was around about 3 months prior to him releasing this information to say that renowned investor and Berkshire Hathaway CEO Warren Buffett spoke out about Bitcoin for the second time in as many weeks, calling the digital currency a brilliant, unprecedented innovation as they started to move billions of dollars across. So what is Bitcoin? Well, very simply, it is a decentralized currency that uses encryption techniques to regulate the generation of units of currency and verify transfer of funds operating independently to any central bank. In simple terms, you can do what the banks can't. You can open up yourself a Bitcoin wallet. You can send money between 2 people in a split second for about a penny. It costs you very, very little to do so. It's instant. It's deregulated currently. And I will stress currently. There's some changes, I think, afoot as far as that's concerned. It is obviously at the moment, because it's deregulated, it's decentralized, so it's out of the scrutiny of other people. As far as the growth, what you're seeing is it's certainly the fastest growing currency anywhere in the world at the moment. And it started back in 2008 by Satoshi Nakamoto, who released the open source software ultimately in 2009. And there's a couple of examples there of people that spent some crazy amounts of Bitcoin, 10,000 Bitcoin on 2 pizzas in Jacksonville. Somebody will be crying in their milk over that at the moment, especially given today's valuation. I'll leave you to do the maths at $5,400 times 10,000 Bitcoin. And certainly economists feel that, as you can see here, the predictions when we put this slide together, that Bitcoin may hit 2,000 to 4,000. Now, that was only written, we put these slides together initially back in around about May. And it went through the 2,000 barrier in June and has moved on dramatically since then. But the bottom line you see on the screen is very important, where people do believe that because there is a finite number of Bitcoin, around about 21 million, that it becomes a supply and demand currency, a little bit like gold. It's limited by supply. And experts do believe that ultimately one Bitcoin could be worth as much as $500,000 to $1 million. Here's some familiar faces. Again, you've got Bill Gates, Richard Branson, Ben Bernanke, all of them massive advocates of Bitcoin. Richard Branson has an event on his island for 7 to 10 days where he brings most of the big names in blockchain technology there to the island for a week and brainstorms. But these guys have been involved in the currency for a long, long time. We used this slide, and when we first started using this slide, this is a Bitcoin ATM. There were very few of them, but what you'll now see is that many nations are getting on board in rolling these out. And I think it was actually at Brett's event in Plano in Texas, where we just received the announcement that Australia were rolling out 1,500 machines nationally, with another 4,000 to follow. And other countries are now following suit with that. So these will be very much the norm, certainly I would say within the next 12 to 18 months in main streets, where you'll be able to go down and you'll be able to withdraw your money, not necessarily just Bitcoin, but most cryptocurrencies you can see on the screen. You'll be able to use them like any other ATM. So we've talked about the value increasing. We've talked about the growth. Well, the growth is way beyond the 400% that you are seeing on this slide. It is quite staggering at the moment from where we started at the beginning of the year at around about $700 to now $5,400 per Bitcoin. But what I just wanted to do was just to give you a little bit of background. We talked about where USI came from. That product is still very much available. So we have 2 products. We have the Forex trading product on the left-hand side. That is a piece of software that you can buy. It's 600 euros. And it is fully automated. And by that, I mean that you don't need to log in. You don't need to do anything. You would open your own broker account. You need a minimum of $1,000 placed in your own broker account that USI-Tech have no access to. The broker gets your permission to connect the software to your broker account. And then that is it. It's up and running. Typically, you can expect to see between a 3 to 5% per month return on your equity, depending on the size of the equity that you have, and the amount of equity you have affects the number of trades that you receive each day. Now, that in itself, in comparison to banks and other saving opportunities, is outstanding. 30 to 50% a year. That is what really got us hooked. Looking in a very de-risked way, where we know that there is not a single account globally that is not in profit. But in March of this year, USI-Tech decided to diversify further, as did many companies that were trading the Forex market, and launched their new Bitcoin package, which is just 54 euros. So you can buy your package. It's always going to equate to 54 euros wherever you are in the world. So if you're in dollars or British pounds, then it will still equate. The cost of one Bitcoin package will still be 54 euros. Now, the big plus to this is that we're buying effectively in euros, but we're being paid out in Bitcoin. Why is that important? Well, of course, as the value of Bitcoin goes up, as we're making the same amount day in, day out, and I'm going to explain that in more detail, then of course the end game that we're all focused on is trying to own as many Bitcoin as we possibly can. As that value continues to grow up, not only are the company trading and making more Bitcoin for us. But of course, the value of that Bitcoin is increasing, as we've talked about today. So how does it work? Well, I've talked about the actual product very simply, that you have the opportunity, whereas if you were to go and buy one Bitcoin, it would cost you $5,400 today. You're able to purchase a small part of a Bitcoin, and then the company will actually take that and trade it for you in the forms of either large swing trading or Bitcoin mining. There's going to be some changes to that coming up on the 28th of October, which I'll share with you shortly. But the long and the short of it is that they generate around about 1% per day. And that 1% is what we call working capital. So you're going to get a return on capital of 1% a day. Now, let me be clear on that. That doesn't mean you're making 1% profit per day. That means that you're getting 1% return of capital, which is a combination of a return of what you paid out initially for the package, which was 54 euros as a percentage every day, and your profit. And it actually equates to around about 12% profit per month. Tell me where you can go anywhere to get 12% profit per month. I wouldn't say it's unheard of. There are other examples. So it's not completely uncommon, but that is what the company need to return on your package, which is not a massive amount. It's about, if you're buying a package for 54 euros, 4 of that euro is a mining fee. 50 euros is your package price. So 12%, I think, is about €3.50 per package. So that doesn't sound a lot, but I promise you, when it starts to compound and the more packages you buy, of course, you're getting the same amount for every single package over a period of 140 days. Now, don't worry if it's not sinking in, or will become clear in a moment when I show you a couple of slides. So how are the packages traded? Well, currently in a variety of ways, and we think there is going to be a change to this. And I'm going to share with you some of the things that are coming up, some of the massive announcements that are going to be made on the 28th of October. But currently they're using altcoin mining, partnership mining, arbitrage trading, and large movement trading. So for example, if there is a big change like we've had today, where the dollar has and Bitcoin to the dollar has changed dramatically, then they will take advantage of that. For example, I mentioned about 3-4 weeks ago where there was a rumor in China where the price plummeted. Well, what I can tell you is that USI-Tech took their reserves, and let's take a figure of, let's say, $35 million, and they sold all of the Bitcoin they had in that reserve at around about 4,200, 4,300 euros. And the price then dropped down to around 3.2, and they then bought back in at 3.2. So there is a great opportunity, even when the price goes down on Bitcoin, where you can actually take advantage of that and make more money. And that's what these guys are absolutely very, very experienced at doing. So let's take some specifics. Let's say, for example, that you bought 20 of these Bitcoin packages, 50 euros a time. That's 1,000 euros. Now, the run time is approximately 140 working days. It's actually whenever you get to 140% of your original purchase of 50 euros. So if it takes 143 days, it takes 143 days. The cutoff is the fact that they've returned you 40% profit, as well as what you originally paid for the package. In other words, over 140 working days, assuming around 1% per day, you're looking at around 1,400 euros returning from your 20 Bitcoin packages. So you can start to do the maths from there. Now, originally, the company did put in place some limits to make sure that everything was running correctly, that they were able to generate the returns consistently on a day-by-day basis. That's way back in March. There are now no limits. You can buy as many of these packages as you wish. And I have people coming in buying 5. I had a conversation with somebody this morning who is putting in $200,000. That is not an unusual amount. So if you're sitting there and thinking about whether you put in 1,000 or 5,000 or 10,000, be rest assured that we take any amount of capital injected very, very seriously. We like to give you a strategy as to the best way to maximize your returns. But I can tell you there are some very substantial organizations which you're going to hear about on the 28th of this month, which I keep talking about the 28th. It is an anniversary event in London. There are 1,000 people flying in from all over the world to hear the breaking news, and I'm going to hopefully give you a few snippets of what is coming on that particular day. So you've got a daily payment of the return of capital. In other words, you get paid every single day on every single package you have. So if you want 1 package, 100 packages, or 1,000 packages, you're going to get your daily payment of the return of capital, which we've said is 1% over 140 days approximately. You also get daily withdrawals of returns and commissions. So if you want to take the money out daily, you can do that. Providing you have more than 10 euros, you can withdraw it instantly. Commissions and returns can be used immediately to buy more Bitcoin packages, and that is very, very important to understand. I'm going to show you exactly why with the next slides coming up, because when you get into taking your profits, buying more packages, then of course you start to compound things. And if you understand compounding, it's simple mathematics. It starts to become very substantial very quickly. So I'll just take a very quick drink. You'll have to excuse me because with the smoke we have around here, my throat is quite dry at the moment. So what you see here on the slide, here's an example, the same example we've just used. There are 20 Bitcoin packages purchased in the green block for 1,000 euros. They're going to run for approximately 140 days. And underneath that in the orange box, they will generate around about 1%, sometimes slightly more, sometimes slightly less, per day as a return of capital on those packages. And you'll see down the left-hand side the number of working days from 0 to 6. So in other words, on day 1, you've spent 1,000 euros, you've bought 20 packages, and you'll see on day 1 there, you've got 10 euros is then generated, being 1% of 1,000 as a return of capital. And so that runs down, and on day 2, you've got 20 euros, and day 3, you've now got 30. And you see by day 6, you've now actually got enough to purchase another package. So your packages have now gone from 20 to 21. So you've taken the profit, you've got 50 euro profit on your 1,000, and you've bought another package. Now you're going to start to see why that's so important. So let's jump ahead, and let's jump ahead to 260 working days. That's 1 calendar year. Now what you can see here is simple mathematics. So we're assuming that you've got 1% every day as an approximate return of capital. You've run your account in a compound fashion where every time you've got another 50 euros, you've bought another package, and you've not withdrawn any money. I'm not saying that's what you want to do, but that's what the example is showing you here on screen, and you've run it for 12 months. And you can see now that at the end of that period, sorry, I'm just jumping ahead on slides, at the end of that period, 260 working days, you've now got 120 packages where you started with 20, and you've energized, or you've put your capital back into the extent of 6,000. So in other words, if you weren't continually rebuying packages, you would have taken your 1,000 euros and generated 6,000 euros. In other words, 5,000 euros of profit. So hopefully that gives you an insight of what you can do with a set sum of around about 1,000 euros. And then from there, of course, it just scales up. So let's take a different example. Let's take 50 packages, not 20, but 50. And we're going to rerun them for a similar amount of time, 250 working days. Now, what you'll see underneath that is the value around about 4 weeks ago when we produced this slide. Those 50 packages would have cost you 1.556. Now, today, because the value of Bitcoin is much greater, it would have cost you less than that, because remember, we're buying in euro. Bitcoin has gone up, and therefore it would cost you less. What you can see is that if you ran 50 packages, which is 2,500 euros that you're buying initially, you would have at the end of that 1 calendar year 282 packages that would be running live in your account. Now, what does that mean? Well, what it means is that you would have 0.08778 Bitcoin being paid to you every single day. Bear with me 1 second, guys. I just want to get my calculator here because my mental maths is not brilliant. Right, I'm back with you. And that's really what the important thing is here, because what we're looking to do is we're looking to try and stockpile or hold or own as many Bitcoin as we possibly can. But what we want to see is how this is going to change your life, how this is going to impact on your daily finances. So if we take 0.0877 Bitcoin and we multiply it by today's rate at 5,400, you would be receiving $473 per day for 21 working days in a month. Remember, this is just for working days, completely passive. This is not networking. This is just you making a decision to buy 2,500 euros worth 50 packages, compounding them for a year. We know from the mathematics you'd have 282 left at the end of the year, which would pay you every day 0.0877 Bitcoin. At today's rate is just under $500 a day. Multiply that by 21 working days in a month. That's just a fraction under $10,000 a month from 2,500 euros that you spent initially. Now, what if in a year's time, who thinks that in a year's time, Bitcoin will still be at 5,400? I believe it'll be well through 10,000. So you can double that figure, which means that would effectively pay you nearly $20,000 per month. Now, that is a life-changing sum of money for an initial capital injection of 2,500 euros. Let's take another example, 200 packages. So if you bought 200 packages times 50 euros, 10,000 euro, you're looking here, you can see you'd have 1,147 packages running if you didn't withdraw any money and you compounded for a year and allowed the company to continue to trade those packages for you, generate profits, buy more packages, and ran it for 12 months. It will pay you 0.3567 Bitcoin per day. At today's rate of 5,400, that is $1,900, nearly $2,000 per day. And there's 21 working days in a month. That's nearly $40,000 per month. Now, again, what if Bitcoin in a year's time is worth 10,000? That's nearly $80,000 a month. So you start to get an understanding here from this as to how significant this can become through the power of compounding, where you start with your initial packages, you compound and go from there. And as this slide says, everything you've seen here is completely passive. We're not talking about commissions. We're not talking about networking. We're not talking about sharing this with anybody else. This is just simply you deciding to buy some Bitcoin packages, getting the company to trade them for you, to pay you a return of capital, in other words, a return of your initial stake plus profits on a daily basis, and you then buying more packages so you grow and compound your account over whatever period of time is comfortable for you. Now, here's the big win. The company made a decision in October of last year to start to allow and put in place a compensation plan to reward people for sharing the business with others. Now, there are plenty of companies like Nadex, for example, that have spent millions and millions. If you're ever on YouTube, you'll see them all the time in international marketing. Costs millions to do so. What the company USI decided to do was to take 10%, well, actually slightly more than that, all told, it's around 35% of their profits and throw it back into a compensation plan. Let me tell you how that works. And this is going to change. And it's going to change on the 28th of October. But the bit you need to know is what I will dwell on, is that you can share this with somebody else. Let's say you shared this with Robert, and you went and showed Robert exactly what you're seeing here this evening. And Robert decided to come along, and let's say Robert put in 10,000 euros. He wanted to get started, wanted to buy a lot of Bitcoin packages. You would receive, for sharing it with Robert, 10% of whatever Robert bought initially. That's on the level 1 chart that you see on the right-hand side. In other words, €1,000 immediately goes into your account. But most importantly, and here is the kicker, you receive 10% of Robert's account for life. So if we go back to those slides that we were talking about where the account compounds over 12 months, let's just flip back to here. And let's say this was Robert's account. Robert's going to go from 200 to nearly 1,200 packages. In other words, his account would have bought 1,000 packages over the course of a year. Every time his account buys a package, and that package is worth €50, you receive 10%. So in other words, in this example, just from Robert, if he bought 200 packages to start with, you would have received €5,000 over the course of the 12 months. Now, this continues to roll on. On level 2, in other words, if Robert then goes and shares this with Tim, and Tim gets started, then you're going to receive 3% from Tim. And that rolls down to level 8. And then beyond level 8, it runs down a total of 12 levels where you receive 1% thereafter. So this is all from word of mouth. And let me tell you, when I first started, I started back on the 9th of March. I bought 3 packages, shared it with 7 people. And here I am today with nearly 2,000 packages running and around 2,500 people that it's been shared with below me in a very short period of time. Now, that's not me bringing in 2,500 people. That's just everybody seeing what's in front of them, understanding it, wanting to be involved in this exciting opportunity where we're at the birth of a new currency and being rewarded substantially for doing so. Now, there are going to be, as of the 28th of October, some conditions. I'm going to be able to tell you what those are as far as qualifying for the 12 levels. I can also tell you that this incentive that's on screen here will be continued for the foreseeable future. Quite simply, what it says is that if you receive and manage to build and get 2,000 Bitcoin packages and maintain a minimum of 2,000 packages, then the company will place €800 every single month for the life of your business in your back office. And you do not even need to produce a proof of a car purchase or payment. They've relaxed that. The €800 will be placed in your back office. And that is nearly €10,000 a month. A year. That's pretty much a mortgage payment in a lot of places. If you then continue to grow your account, and let me tell you, it looks like a big jump, but when you get to 2,000 packages, the 5,000 follows very, very quickly. They will place 1,600, double that amount, €1,600 every single month in your account. That is just one of the many bonuses and incentives that they put in place. They've just finished this trip on the 5th to the 8th of October, just done. There were 150 people that flew into Mallorca. Some of the video footage was spectacular. There were sailing yachts hired. This company knows how to do things in style. And it was all 5-star VIP luxury for 3 days, all expenses paid. And there will be new incentives like this, I suspect, launched on the 28th of October at the anniversary event in London. So I say questions. I'm not sure whether we're geared up for that at the moment. But Tom, by all means, come back in. I'll drop out of my slide. And what I do want to do, as and when you'd like me to, is just to give everybody tuned in an opportunity of let me just stop sharing my screen for a second. We can get rid of that. There we go.
Okay. Yeah, Lee, thank you so much. One point I just want to make for the benefit of our audience, which I believe is mostly US, is that even though all the slides indicate euros, they do not have to in any way purchase euros or convert anything into euros. Is that correct?
No, that's correct. You very simply, the easiest way is really just to set yourself up a Bitcoin wallet to easily load your wallet via your bank account or a debit or credit card. And then you can buy in Bitcoin, size of Bitcoin. What happens in the back office is it converts the euro figure of €54 to today's current Bitcoin value as it changes every day. And then you can just send that from your Bitcoin wallet. It's very, very simple.
Okay, very good. And I'm going to see if Brett, I know he's there, but I'm going to see if he's available to see if we do have any questions. Brett, are you available to come to the mic?
Yeah, we had a question from, let's see, who was that? we had a question from Sunny that basically was asking, what is the driving force right now that's causing the increase in price? And Sonny, if you're not familiar with Bitcoin, there's a limited supply of Bitcoin. Right now, we have roughly about 18 million Bitcoins that exist. There'll only be 21 million ever created. That's governed by how the coin was actually put together by its creator. And so this is really market-driven fundamental economics 101 here. When you have a limited supply of something and you have increasing demand for that limited supply, price can only do one thing, and that's to go up. So with a 21 million Bitcoin cap that won't occur until 2040, which is quite some time, there's a lot of upward possibility in Bitcoin appreciation. So that's a really good question. I get that question asked a lot. And we've got another question here. Let's see, this is from Toby. Toby is asking, and Lee, I'll let you answer this question. What does it cost to get started? And are there any monthly commitments?
Yeah, it's a great question, and something obviously is easily overlooked. The great thing, Toby, about this business, and this should give you some massive confidence, is that if you look at any other networking opportunity online, there is always a monthly fee. There's a monthly subscription for something, $9.99 here or $29.99 there. This is completely free to join. Yeah, and we'll be telling you that you need to go back to the person that invited you here a little later to get your account registered. It'd be crazy not to get registered because it's free. You can open an account with USI-Tech. You have to be invited. You cannot just join. So you need to be invited by somebody. But there is no monthly commitment, nothing whatsoever. There's no potions, lotions being delivered to your door, no auto ship cost, absolutely nothing. And the reason that this company is so successful and have grown at an astronomical rate is simply because largely of that. If you just think about that through, there are nearly 250,000 members now in a very short period of time. All they need to do if they want to generate a staggering amount of money is put a $9.99 monthly subscription. We'd all pay it because we're all making a lot of money. The company don't need the money. That might sound really blasé, but that is the fact. These guys are all self-made millionaires. They are not doing it purely. Of course, they're doing it for the money, but they're not doing it purely for the money. They're doing it because they can. They're doing it because they are incredibly intelligent. They are doing it because they genuinely, and we've heard this a lot over the years, but want to change people's lives. And I can give you some examples of that before I go very briefly on how that is already occurring to a lot of my team members who are able to now give up their jobs to build churches in the Congo, all on the back of what is happening in this business. So I hope that answers your question before I waffle on too much, Brett, in that there are no joining fees, there are no monthly fees. You simply decide to buy a Bitcoin package or multiples of it and start to make profit.
Okay, good. That's our two questions here from people that are with us.
Okay, so Brett, did you have something that you wanted to say to our audience here?
Actually, you guys probably aren't seeing this because it's on the webinar technology, but I just want to let everyone know that if they want to take advantage of getting an autographed copy of the book or to set up a coaching call with either Tom or me, to please click the green button. And for those people that actually have been invited by us, if you would please go ahead and click that green button. If you want to get started, there's a link there in the section on the page that will help you get started. And I know for myself, I really appreciate everyone's time tonight. And I really want to thank Lee. I know it was a sacrifice to come and
before I go,
yeah.
I just want to give your viewers just a little snippet of what is coming, because I think it's important to do that. You've got people that are looking at this for the first time, and I think obviously we'll have some reservations and concerns. And, you know, is it going to be here in 6 months' time or a year's time? I am flying to London for the anniversary event. There has been nearly a year's worth of work put in to develop what is about to be launched on the 28th of October. And I'm just going to give you a couple of snippets. And I have to be very careful what I say here. But first of all, I can tell you there are 2 more products coming. I have been told that one of those products, we should expect to see a greater return than we are getting from the Bitcoin package. So if you want to do the maths, 12% per month, multiplied by 12 months. And we're looking at something that's going to give us more than that. Well, we are somewhat ecstatic about that because this company is already producing masses of millionaires in its wake. So there's the first thing. Secondly, I can tell you that the company is invested many, many millions. And when I say many millions, way beyond $50 million into hardware for mining. That might not mean a lot, but what it does mean to us is that the products that they're going to be generating these returns of profits, people say, well, how are they doing it? Well, you're going to have full transparency after the 28th of October. So you'll be able to see for the first time ever in cryptocurrency, your portfolio of what is going on in USI-Tech. You'll be able to see exactly how it is being traded on a daily basis. At the moment, that is not possible with any company anywhere in the world. So this business is going to explode largely because of that. What I can also tell you is, again, I can't go into too much information, but their goal will be to be compliant, fully compliant with the SEC here in the US. That has never been done before with cryptocurrency. That mechanism, in order to ensure that that is going to happen, is already in place. The deals are already done. There are some huge partnerships that have been signed and completed here in the US with billionaires and hedge funds where they've been closed to the general public and are now moving their business into USI. And there is a complete marketing suite that, if you're not sure how you're going to share this, about one of the biggest software companies in the US who are behind Jeunesse, the skincare product, who are phenomenally successful, have been retained to build a complete new website and marketing system, which will be ready for launch on November the 1st. In other words, you'll have an ability to just show somebody your business in a box. You won't need to explain it. You won't need to tell anybody about it. They'll just watch your presentation and they will join on autopilot. All of that is about to come on the 28th of October.
All right, very good. Brett, is there anything else that you like to add?
Oh, that's it for me.
Okay, well, this is, I just want to tell everybody again, remind them about the button on the screen if you wanted to get involved. And just share a little bit of personal experience. You might be like me and say, you know, when you first hear about it, you're a little bit nervous and concerned. The one thing to keep in mind is that when you join up, there is, as Lee said, absolutely no cost whatsoever on a monthly basis. You can join up, and you can then get into the dashboard, the back office, play with that calculator that Lee showed you, some of the computations of doing some hypotheticals on how much you put in and over how much period of time. You can work with that and just see what is possible. So that's just my word to you is that's what I did. That's what I did, is I got in and became comfortable with it, became comfortable with the company. And I'm so glad that I did, because things are really beginning to take off for me as well. So in closing, let me again thank Lee very much for being with us, because he is in, if you've watched the news here in the US, he's in Santa Rosa, California, an area that has just been decimated by wildfires. And he took time out of that to be with us tonight. And we are so grateful for that, Lee. And just want to thank you so much for that time that you have put aside for us here. So
you're welcome, guys.
Yep, very good. So for Brett Combs and for Lee Oki, this is Tom Mitzoff of the Bitcoin Coaches saying so long for now. We'll see you next time, and click that button.